Hey, this is Gareth and Bruce. This is our first attempt at a podcast.
We just don't know where it's gonna go. You got more of the gruff voice. I got more of the
Softer feminine voice.
screw you. Hey.
I don't know, I felt a little snobby when we hit 10 episodes.
Okay, that's an interesting question.
The two of us can be Vin Diesel. Gareth can drive like him. And I can
You
look
can
like
look
him.
Welcome to Spaghetti Junction. My name is Gareth,
My name is Bruce.
and we talk about things. We just don't know
know
where
where
they're
they're
gonna
gonna
go.
Hello and welcome to the Spaghetti Junction podcast. My name is Bruce.
I'm Gareth.
We talk about things.
We just don't know where they're gonna go.
Maybe the additional title should be the third installment of the Naughty Pasta Takedown podcast.
Third installment.
Yes, this is the third time we're talking about...
Brian, no, it's only two.
No, it's the third time we're talking about pastas in general, because the first time was Ravi.
Ravi Zacharias.
Ravi.
That's right, yes. Well, let's just say this is part 2 on Brian Houston.
Yes,
But yes.
and part 3 of...
On where you're saying, yes. I think we shouldn't even, I'm count, I'm count, as to like part so-and-so, because we're going to be speaking about nerdy pastas, I'm sure, for
It's going to be another one.
one or two times more on this podcast.
So, and I think this is a very... I laughed when I first thought about this. You might not laugh at this,
I
because you don't
probably
laugh
won't.
at any of my jokes.
No, I don't. Tell me. What's
He doesn't
hilarious?
laugh at my jokes. He doesn't bring me flowers. It's like...
It's a horrible
I know.
relationship.
I know. Some people say I'm emotionally unavailable. My word.
So carrying on.
Just lie to me, damn it. And I think I'm really hoping that you're going to try and that you're going to title this episode.
Yeah.
Because there's only one statement that is really worth saying in this situation.
Which is one.
Houston, we have a problem.
That's not bad,
Come
actually.
on, look, he actually laughed.
It's actually not
Check
bad.
it out.
I'll see how I feel when we upload it. It's actually pretty
I'm
clever.
going to say it in an Australian accent. Houston, we have a problem. Or a New Zealand accent, one of the
That
two.
one I can't get. No.
I can't either, hey?
It's very distinct. It's the Australian one, I think, is the easier one to get.
Definitely.
The New Zealand one,
Yeah.
maybe ask me in like 5 years, I might have one to get.
Well, there
to
you go. It'd be nice if you could pick it up.
Did you know that the drummer from Foo Fighters died?
Man, what a sad week, eh? I clicked on
Taylor Hawkins.
I
If you don't
clicked
know
on
who
YouTube.
they are, it's okay.
I clicked on YouTube yesterday and saw the news. Oh
No,
man,
He was 50,
he was 50. Yes.
and his heart weighed double that of a man his age.
Oh my
Double
word.
that, yeah. So I'm just reading it like right now. On one of my feeds that just appeared as I was going on the internet now for our podcast.
That's crazy.
I,
Yeah.
I didn't even plan it.
I
But
read that there were
he
quite
had
a few,
an enlarged heart.
and there were quite a few substances in his blood that they
Really?
discovered. Opioids, antidepressants.
Oh, there we go. After binging on a cocktail of drugs, including heroin, marijuana, opioids, which is why his heart doubled. Well, was to double the weight of a normal human heart. Because it
Yes.
just took on so much. That's so interesting. So he did. So he basically died from drugs, pretty much.
And he's had issues with drugs before.
Rockers seem to do that, eh?
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Unfortunately, it was quite a sad week because one of my a friend of mine, his wife passed away as well. So it was doubly
Really?
same as like the day before his birthday, which was
Oh,
really
shit.
tough. So
That's bad.
yeah, so condolences to them.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you felt a little bit more for them than the Foo Fighters drummer. Although,
Definitely, yeah, but still, it's sad. I
That's-
mean, I got to see Foo Fighters live, and
oh wow, okay.
Taylor's an amazing talent. I mean, when he got up on stage and just sang.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a band and everything where he was the front man.
Really?
And yeah, he was pretty good. So, yeah.
Well, there we go. Foo Fighters, if you don't know them, it's okay.
Yeah.
We just have known them for a long time. So where do you go from a death conversation?
To
I want to see how you're going to do this.
no, just because if that's not bad enough, then we go into a pastor who's now resigned from the
Oh, not bad.
biggest one of the biggest mega churches in the world.
I'm thinking as to its reach over the world.
I think it is
you
the
know,
biggest.
and its reach with its music, for example. I don't think there's another church that has such a huge reach.
Possibly
It might not be the biggest mega church size because I don't know, but yeah. I mean, I looked online to to like see as to what is the biggest mega church. I couldn't find like one definitive answer.
Okay.
But I could probably almost 100% say sure that it's the largest music industry. Basically, it's the biggest influencer on Christian worship music by far.
It's the largest Christian worship music brand.
There we go.
Let's say that.
And it's called a brand.
It is a brand.
Exactly.
The brand of Hillsong, basically.
That's pretty much a brand, yeah. Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. So so I mean, before we go there, we did say our last episode, that this one's going to be about the food and blah blah blah, but we put that on hold because the stuff happening right now
Oh yeah,
is pretty much fresh right now.
Yeah.
It's like only the last few days did this even happen.
Yeah, this is very.
So this is still fresh. So I thought let's just go with this and make you wait for your food.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Do you want to do background, or I can do some form of background
I think
as to how it? Okay, so basically, as you were saying, Brian Houston, the founder and the pastor, and basically the be all and end all of Hillsong, he resigned like completely out of everything.
Right.
A few days ago. But then the question is like, what brought him to this point? Like, why? So if you do want to know more about it, we do have an episode of it.
We do.
We do actually, yes, which actually breaks down Brian Houston and what happened with him and his father. So I don't think we really need to go really much into depth. But basically, this whole thing started off with there were allegations against his father. I think it's Frank Houston. That basically something happened. I think it was in the late 90s that there were allegations of abuse from his father, from Frank Houston.
Yeah.
With I think there was one minor. I can't remember if there were more.
Yeah, and that stuff had. I think the allegations only came out in the 90s, but the actual events happened more in the 70s, as far as I can.
Remember.
Yeah. From what I. When Frank Houston was still quite a younger sort of pastor, but still sort of quite up there in the leadership and all of that.
Yeah, he was very, very big along that side. So basically, as you say, it happened with his father being involved with sexual assault of a child, and basically what came back onto Brian Houston last year is that the police were saying that Brian Houston knew about it, but he covered it up. Oh, no. He basically said nothing. And the whole thing around it was that Brian Houston was saying, well, he left it to the victim, for the victim to speak out, because it was, his story and not Brian Houston's story, which is also, if that is correct, that's
it's a bit of a cop out.
That's a big cop out.
Yeah.
And whereas the victim was saying, no, that's actually wasn't the case. So the police, they came, with the charges against Brian Houston last year, basically saying that he had knowingly, that he knew about the assault and that he had chosen to cover it up. And that's kind of where everything, works itself to where it is now. Although he didn't resign because of that.
No.
That was definitely pressure on him. It was a big thing, obviously, and they and the actual hearings, the actual court case is in the last week of November.
Yeah.
for 3 weeks. So that was happening. So he did step down from his pastoral role.
Yes, yeah.
But now what's come up is that he's now come out and said that he has actually resigned now from everything to do with Hillsong. Like, he no longer is involved in any form of leadership whatsoever on any ground whatsoever. He's just Brian Houston.
Yeah.
He's not Pastor Brian Houston. He's just Mr. Houston.
Yeah.
And as you say, Houston, we have a problem.
And this is because of allegations of some more of events of a more sexual nature that people are complaining that he's been involved with.
Great. Do you want to bring us in with those?
So basically, he had it was really just two that I was able to find. Two
Gotcha.
main ones.
Yep.
One with he had basically flirted with a female staff member over text.
Okay.
Sending her types of text messages and that kind of thing, which led to her resigning from the organization.
Okay.
Which obviously means that she wasn't reciprocating.
No.
And then I love how they word it. Spent time with a female occupant of a hotel room.
In a hotel room, yeah.
Because he became disorientated
By alcohol
due to
and
a combination of alcohol,
medication.
medication, and that kind of thing. Apparently she was sort of, I'm not sure if it was a conference or something, but she was a visiting sort of a guest or just someone who had decided to come and attend the event that he was speaking at. So yeah.
Okay, so going with that, the first accusation was that Brian Houston had flirted with a staff member in text messages. But now this is saying a decade ago.
Yeah, this
is not like a fresh thing. This has been...
No.
And I'll tell you, what I want to do is I'm not sure if you read it yet or if you're aware of it, but how these things came to light is a very interesting way of doing it.
Oh my word. Then you better talk about that. I kind of went a little bit more into the whys of why these things happen, because I like to question why.
Okay. Well, fine. Well, there's actually... Okay, fine. I'll leave that to you. I'll do what we were supposed to have done. You can have the whys. No, I'm kidding. So the first complaint was an accusation that Houston had flirted with a staff member in text messages. Now, this is a decade ago. Okay, and the board attributed this to Houston being under the influence of sleeping medication, upon which he had developed a dependence, it said. The board statement said that Houston apologized to the staff member who had resigned because of the flirtation. We also worked closely with Pastor Brian, they say, the board, to ensure he received professional help to eliminate his dependency on this medication, and this was achieved successfully.
Yes.
It doesn't talk about what he did and what he wrote.
No, it
and
doesn't.
How she felt
and what
she went through, which I'm sure they did.
I wasn't
but in
aware.
this article, it just speaks about how Houston had a problem. Houston was dependent, basically was addicted to these pills, and how they helped him off, and now he's fine.
Yeah.
As we have said, it's funny how in big problems, I'm in some very higher, well-known, allegations. They talk of alcohol or medication or addiction, or they weren't in their right minds because they were on this medication or that alcohol. This is not the first time.
Yeah. I wasn't aware that any of the information about the sort of the information of the text messages that he had sent or anything was available or anything like that.
No, it's not available.
Oh.
But what happened? So
to lead up to that,
like, how did this stuff all come out?
Yeah.
I've got a very interesting story.
Cool.
I read it and it was like, okay. So, anyways, so this was the first person, okay. So that is basically all they say in their statement. He was naughty. He was on medication. He was possibly addicted. Now he's fine. The other woman? I don't know. Anyways. And then the second one, exactly what you were saying, it took place during one of the Hillsong's annual conference.
There you go. Yeah.
But that was actually in 2019, so it's not that.
Oh, that's pretty recent, eh?
It's very, very close.
Okay.
So the Hillsong board statement said that Houston had become disoriented, as you're saying, after taking more than the prescribed dose. There's another thing he's on, of an anti-anxiety prescription. Okay. Mixed with alcohol. Okay. This resulted in him. Sorry, I'm not laughing at it. I'm laughing at. I mean, it's so obvious. Come on, guys.
Yeah, no.
Come on. So they say this resulted in him knocking on the door of a hotel room that was not his, entering the room, and spending time with the female occupant.
Yeah.
So in layman's, I don't think we are. We're not here to judge. We're just trying to bring our facts.
Yeah.
But also to say our piece as well.
Yeah.
So my piece. So basically, what they're saying is that so he took more than his anti-anxiety. So basically, he banged on someone's door, just for the sake of for example, on his floor. I'm sure there must have been 20, 30, maybe doors. But somehow he finds this door and bangs on it like silly, and then spends time in her room
with the occupant that just
with the
happens to
occupant.
be female.
Yeah. So
And possibly rather attractive.
And a more than a 5-second. Oh crap! Sorry, this is not my room. That's when he would bang on the door and he would say, "Guys, I'm sorry. Is anybody? I've lost my keys." Although, why would you even bang on your door?
Yeah.
If you're lost and you're disorientated,
You've got your key card.
Yeah. Although what they're saying is that he was disoriented, meaning that he didn't know what floor he was or what number his. I'm reading into this.
It's way too convenient.
I'm bringing on the let's side with Brian right now. So, which I'm not. I mean, I'm not against him or not. We're just going on the factual stuff here.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is,
Yeah.
Okay. So he took his meds because he was anxious because he speaks at huge events, so obviously he was anxious. But he popped one or two more. And then all of a sudden he became disorientated.
No.
Then he's on a floor that, I'm on that side right now. So he was on a floor that he wasn't even sure what was his floor. So he went to a door that he thought was actually his room. And he banged on it because he thought that someone from the cleaning staff had been in the room. And they were in there. So he just banged on it, hoping that they would... Yeah, exactly. I'm done.
That's so thin.
I'm trying. That's kind of where they're going.
Yeah, and it's...
But the fact that... Wouldn't have that person on the other side of the door said, "Hi, who are you?" "No, I'm lost. And then she'll open the door, but with a little lock thing on the door.
Thing going, okay.
Saying, "Why are you here? What do you
Yeah.
want?" No, this is my room. No, it's not. "Do you have your key card?" "Oh, okay." "No, this is actually for number 45. It's around the corner and the one on the left."
Yeah.
Or they could have said, "Hi, let me just phone downstairs to have someone come up and help you."
But
That's the obvious thing which I would think. If someone's banging on my door.
Yeah.
Bro, why are you here? Fine, you're looking a bit loopy. Just take a break. I'll pass you some water through the door and they will come up and find you. But no, he went in there and he spent time with the female occupant. Spent time, meaning it wasn't just like, "Oh crap, this is not my room."
Yeah.
So he obviously knew her.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
And
That's a guarantee.
she passed her room number on to him, and
The question is, why would he bang on the door? And I'm not being funny. Why would he be doing that?
was it an obvious banging or just
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like he was hitting
right.
the door.
Okay. I didn't realize
He
that
was
it was
banging. He wasn't like knocking. He was
Okay.
banging on the door.
Oh, I see.
So I don't get that. Unless he wanted to get in, and she was like, no, until he made so much noise that she just let him in just to calm it down.
Because she didn't want to. Yeah, maybe.
And then he went in there,
whatever.
and then he didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
That I think that is possibly one thing which could have happened, which is way more believable than
Yeah.
being on the wrong floor, being on his medication, he couldn't find his room number.
Yeah.
So I just, that's to me how I feel. The high chances of that happening
Yeah.
are way higher than what the church is saying
Yeah.
could have happened.
Yeah. I think they knew each other in some capacity.
Yeah, but I
Maybe.
think because of the noise and the banging, from what I've read, it
Mm.
wasn't knocking. I feel that she was just like, okay, you know what, just come inside. It's blooming noisy.
Okay.
And maybe, I don't know. But I do agree with you. They knew each other. It wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
And maybe, wow, this is like Brian Houston, the pastor, exactly like what we were saying about Zacharias. Zacharias. It's the whole, like, oh my gosh, that's the man,
Yeah. And then you got.
who runs the like he's Brother Zacharias. He's Brian Houston.
That's it. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah.
After all this going on, there was an investigation by they have a unit in the church called the Integrity Unit.
I read that.
The Integrity Unit.
I laughed
Coming
at,
soon on
I
SC.
laughed at that. I'm like, really? Do they like carry badges and
Hey,
stuff?
children, welcome to the next episode of the, what did I call them again? The Integrity Unit. Find yours
like
at your local church.
dressed up like Agent Smith with like sunglasses and earpieces.
Integrity
and stuff.
Unit, yeah. So there was an investigation by the Hawks, we would say. The Hawks, the
Integrity Hawks.
Integrity Unit, according to the board, and Houston agreed to step down from leadership for a period and take specific action. But ultimately, according to the statement, he did not take all of the agreed upon steps, which resulted in the board taking further action late last year. So it's all very fresh and carrying on.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot, so it's on to you.
Well, yeah, I think, going on from what you just said about, yes, he is in a position of leadership, but he did not sort of take sort of the advice and other stuff and other things that were sort of afforded him by people who were closest to him, saying, listen, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to.
And didn't follow it, yeah.
Exactly. And that's I think that's a typical thing for possibly someone in leadership who has sort of, they're in that very high position of leadership, who thinks they really don't need to take all of that advice, even though now, he's had all this stuff happen. He's got this trial he's awaiting a trial.
That's correct.
And now he decides he goes off and does this kind of thing.
Yeah.
As well. That's
doesn't really help his
yeah,
footing.
He obviously wasn't.
Doesn't help the viewpoint, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. So, yeah. I mean, it's not a new issue. Something that I discovered that there are, in the Bible, there were 49 leaders that are depicted in the Bible.
Okay.
That where we can study their entire life.
Yeah.
And only 13 of them actually finished strong, if you like, with their. So only 13 leaders out of all the memorable leaders in the Bible.
Okay.
So a very small number actually finished strong and actually didn't fall or, do stuff that sort of brought the entire faith into disrepute and that kind of thing, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah. So it's not something new.
No,
it happens very often.
I think it's very much linked with the whole thing of worship, as to either you're worshiping God or you're worshiping a music band. And I think a lot of the times within the leadership problems is that people fall into a spot where they're worshiping their human figure instead of God.
Correct.
I think that's what's happening.
Correct. Yes, I have. So what I've got here is what we were talking about being the brand of Hillsong, is that a lot of evangelical Christianity now has become brand.
Yeah,
it's become a brand, and the leaders are elevated to celebrity status. I mean, geez, like within the church, within the Christian faith,
absolutely.
You don't get more of a celebrity than Brian Houston.
I mean, for sure.
And then the gospel becomes a cult of personality, which I thought was quite an interesting statement. I was like, whoa. And it does,
very
because
true.
then
It's very true.
you go to you go to like a Hillsong service on a Sunday, and it's an arena
Yeah,
show.
It's an arena, and in fact, where they have the church at their main. Well, I mean, they are everywhere, obviously, but their head one, I'm pretty sure, is in
It's in Sydney.
Sydney.
Yeah.
That is it is like an arena feel to it.
Yeah,
It's thousands
yeah.
will fit into that per
Per service.
I was about to say per show, yeah.
Oh, ooh, careful.
Per service.
You got to be careful with that language.
Yeah. And they have at least 5 or 6, I think, every week. I mean, every Sunday. So,
How do you do 5 or 6 services in a?
well, like I know.
I remember Rayma Church used to do it as well.
Yeah.
Like, how do you
There's
do
like an early, then so like an 8, a 10, a 12, a 3, and a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yes.
Becca's done in a lot of churches.
Yes, that's nuts. Eh?
Yeah.
And if you're the head pastor doing, would then the head pastor have done the?
Well, I know within my church, no, they are down to, I think we're on 4 right now, and yeah, sometimes the same person will speak on every, I'm on every one of them, or there might be weeks, where the one one is on like first, third, and fourth, and the
Right.
other one's on the second. But yeah, in general, you'll find that they will do most of the services. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, look, we can look back to biblical times when a lot of people wanted to elevate Jesus because of his preaching. They wanted to elevate him to rock star status. He became a celebrity. Have you heard about this guy who's teaching these things and he's performing these miracles? And even he said to them,
And he was like, no,
he's
exactly.
like, don't look to me.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I'm just the messenger.
And that was Jesus.
Yeah. So exactly. And
how
yeah,
everyone falls.
that's it. What have I got here? Just got some.
Yeah.
So I found an interesting study actually, by a guy. Oh my word! I left his surname out. Oh my word!
What?
Oh.
Oh, well then just say
Dr. Robert, and I apologize, but I
Dr.
forgot to
Robert
write down
Roberts.
his surname. And I always cite my sources. So
you
this
do,
is
Bruce.
so this is
I'm
from.
disappointed.
Yes, I know, and yeah, maybe I was writing too quickly.
You were so excited. Or you were late. Well, one of the two.
Let's say I was excited.
Okay, fine.
I'm never late.
We'll go with that one.
CityOnAHillStudio.com.
Yeah.
What an interesting, rather interesting Christian website.
Yep.
And this doctor he studied the lives of 3,500 Christian leaders. Yeah. He literally made
That must
a
have
study.
literally been his like full-time job.
Yeah, he must have. He must have said, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to do.
So someone he got paid, hopefully. Carry on.
Silly hope so. I wouldn't do that for free.
No. No.
Take up some kind of collection for that guy.
I know. A GoFundMe page. Something along those lines. What are you doing? I'm researching 3,500 passes. Okay.
This is my PayPal account.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind. Yeah.
And he found there was a growing trend now. It doesn't say when he did the study,
Okay.
but he said it's a growing trend of Christian leaders who are falling, who are not. And I mean, we can understand. I mean, well, okay, maybe that's being a little bit lenient, but the whole thing of, we are human, we are fallible, we are not perfect. And we are, and I think I was actually thinking about it today that even I think nowadays more than ever, living a Christian life is one of the hardest things you can actually do if you really are like pushing through and going, I am going to live
This is what
biblically
you believe in
as
doing,
much and walking the walk and talking the talk. It's just becoming monumentally harder and harder, and it's for people in leadership.
I think
Of
that's
that status,
I think that the higher you are up in a Christian, I don't know, organization, whatever, I think the more chances of you wiping out are exceedingly higher than someone who's not even involved in any form of leadership. Yes, you will both have difficulties, but I think that the higher up you are, the chances of falling down that hill are I think there will be what you can use as word is like a tax on them.
Well, and the consequences are far more reaching.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, look at the congregate. Look at the worldwide congregation of Hillsong Church. I mean, it was bad enough that those previous allegations came out about Brian Houston.
About the father.
Yes.
Got you.
And like, flip. This guy's our leader.
And he might have known, and why didn't he say?
Exactly.
Yes.
So, is that a rug pulled out from you moment? It might have been a jerk on the rug, but I think this is more of the rug being pulled out from under them is when your head pastor has now resigned. He's like, Brian Houston was the face of Hillsong Church. He's not anymore, and I think a lot of people are like probably going to be very disillusioned, and possibly going to leave the church and go, no, you know what?
This is only from 2018, so obviously it's not really going to be. So I think just go with the year, and I'm thinking now add on VAS to be 2022. Now this is saying that Hillsong worldwide, they have 80 branches in 21 countries, and over 112,000 people attend services every week across the world. 112, and that was in 2018. So I can guarantee it's going to be higher. So at least 100, and let's just say maybe 140,000. I'm just having, if I'm going to make it longer. Yeah, so 80 branches in 21 countries. So it's not just a church, it's a
global organization.
It's a global brand.
Entity.
Yeah.
And you have one man in the top leadership position of that entire...
When you think about it, yeah, it's like 80 branches, 21 countries, over all of it, Brian Houston. That's when you think of Hillsong.
Yeah.
I think where the most
magnitude
you think of Brian Houston.
That's it.
And yes, they have a whole pile of pastorals, obviously everywhere.
Yes.
But the initial figure which you would think of is Brian Houston.
Yeah. And now when that figurehead has now been
it's huge.
removed,
that I can guarantee, and that's going to create a lot of ripples, and I would imagine a lot of people are going to leave the church. Yeah. A lot of people will be like, my world is now blown. How am I going to live life? And I think the problem is with the people who have invested into the human, into Brian Houston, and moved around God to now being behind Brian Houston.
Yeah.
So when this character falls apart and is not what they seem,
yeah,
I reckon so many people's lives are just going to be like, flip.
That's it.
Just boom.
Yeah. Apparently the Australian Prime Minister has also
I have a thing about it,
distanced himself. He's like, and you know what, rightly so.
But yeah, but I mean, but what happens when a huge forest fire of this happens? Anybody even linked to him will just shove him under the bus, not to look as to how much time the Prime Minister of Australia and Brian Houston spent. They were so close that he tried to get Brian Houston on the invitation list to the White House. They were that close.
Oh wow! I didn't realize the closeness.
Yes, very. Oh yes, okay. Very, very, very close. So he tried to, and yeah, it didn't happen. But that's how close they were. So for me, I think it's a bit. Yes, you don't want to. To me, you've got so much history, and yes, Brian Houston has done what he did. But without even a second thing of saying, like how much good was done.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I'm away from you. I'm not involved with you. My hands are washed and dried. Washed and dried. My hands are clean.
Clean. There we go.
Washed and dried.
Oh, same
That's
thing.
how clean they are.
Washed and dried.
Exactly. And it's like, yes, he has done stuff.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't change. I mean, for me, someone who wiped out like that, it's going to need people around him. And I'm not saying they are there to say, well done, good job, fair enough. But he's been treated like a social pariah.
Yeah.
From a phone, from text messages, and then he was, in another room, which is not his room, with the woman. Don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
The point being, he didn't. I mean, I might expect that if it was, for example, his dad, with what he did,
Yeah.
sexual assault,
Yeah.
and it's very much there. Houston, fine. He has done stuff and he has damaged his reputation and he has done what is, what a pastor should never have done.
Yeah.
But to the extremity of what, of how the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has done, it's like...
What might have happened? What my thoughts around that is that he's leader of the country.
Fair enough.
This has surfaced. He was possibly,
fair enough.
there's that political reputation that he has to protect as the leader of the country. He's got advisors around him.
Yeah, I guess that's
going,
fair enough.
Listen, this is what we feel is the best course of action for you politically as the leader of the country.
Yeah, it's
we understand.
It's politics. You make a fair point.
We understand how close you were. I'm sure you guys were good mates because yes, I mean, when you fly up there, you fly in those circles.
Yeah.
And so you're interacting with those types of people.
Well,
all the
exactly.
time. And I'm sure connections get made, friendships get made, but I'm pretty sure it was a political decision.
It's politics.
Yeah. And he's like, that's the kind of, you can't as the leader of a country be.
Well, I mean, he's
to a certain extent
linked with someone who has
be associated with that kind of thing. He might have personally spoken to Brian and said, "Listen, I'm really sorry this has happened, and I'm not
Possibly
judging you, but
I
from
have
a
to do
political
what is
career,
right."
my advisors have told me, listen, maybe they had a personal phone
You would
call
like
and
to
said,
think so.
I'd like to think so.
Because
yes.
they were that close.
Yeah.
So, and it says that, as recently as last year, Morrison had publicly acknowledged the spiritual influence of Houston on his life. And in his maiden speech to Parliament, he credited him with the pastoral work that had helped guide his faith at an early age. So they were very, very close.
Well, there you go.
But I guess because it says in the maiden speech to the Parliament, so I guess in Parliament you have to say, I would like to think exactly what you're saying, that at least he phoned Houston.
Yeah, with
Not to say what you've done is fine. He's just saying we were this close. Your point actually will make sense to me.
You see, yeah, and with guys like that in those circles, they've got each other's personal contact details.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like
No, those two were very close.
They were probably on each other's personal cell phones, or it's very easy to get a hold of them. If the PM heard that Brian Houston was on the phone, his secretary comes in and says, "I've got Brian Houston for you." Probably goes, "Sure, I'll take the phone call."
Yeah.
It's not like, just fob him onto one of my,
For sure.
I doubt Brian Houston had to jump through the hoops to try and get to.
I mean,
And the other way around as well,
Oh, absolutely.
You become even a pastor at that level, you could put a prime minister on hold, or tell him I'll call him back, kind of thing. Tell him take a message, I'll get back to him, kind of vibe. There is the possibility that you can do that if you're up there, but let's hope they didn't.
No,
so.
I would like to think that at least he did have a phone chat with him. Don't say we're finished.
Pretty much almost at our mark.
Okay. Well, we have a whole. Okay, and then what I'll do is then I'll just post a link of the Hillsong Global Board's statements.
Cool.
Because it is relatively long, so I'm not gonna. And that came out on March the 18th, so pretty much like a few days ago.
Cool.
And that's probably about a page.
All right.
So no, it's fine. Well, what I was going to bring about it, but I'll do it like really, really quickly, was that how these allegations came out. I believe is that, and I don't know, but what happens is that in the news, and everything which I've been following, there is a story that there were leaked letters of what had happened, what the woman have said happened with Brian Houston.
Okay.
So that came out, and possibly that got the board like, holy crap, we need to get ourselves moving. Anyways, it's a whole part of things. But now here's the interesting thing, all right? So this letter was sent to members, ours, after the new head of Hillsong Church, Pastor Phil Dooley now, held an extraordinary meeting with 800. So basically, this new pastor, or is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be like at that level of Brian Houston, because I think from this they've learned. We hope not to put one on top.
Yeah.
But the next person, involved now, yes, it is. He's the new head of Hillsong Church, Pastor Phil Dooley. He held an extraordinary meeting with 800 global staff members. That's a big Zoom meeting, eh? How do you have a meeting with 800 staff members?
It's a lot of bandwidth.
A lot of Zoom meetings and... Anyways, yeah, so then what I'm reading is, okay, he as in Phil Dooley, he had this meeting with his 800 global staff members speaking about Brian Houston's, what they call indiscretions. This came out, it got leaked, then it got spoken about, and I think from whatever happened, I think the news came, my point being, because this is very long, my point being, I think a lot of this came out before the board were ready to share about it. So I think there were again little things happening, and there was a leaked letters, who knows from who to how to what, which then hit the press. And I think basically around that time, I think they became aware.
Right.
And I'm wondering if they got to it before that, leak, like hit the news. My point is that there were leaked letters. So it's, not everything is as cut and dry in any organization as you can think, especially something this big.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll see more of the facts come out, and as this whole thing unfolds. So. Yeah,
and it'll be very interesting to watch, to like see what happens.
You will definitely be keeping an eye on this.
On the globe, it's So it'll be interesting to see what happens, over the next few months in the whole, Hillsong global environment. Also, what will happen, with Brian Houston, because the the big one. Well, one of the biggest ones that happened before, which we did speak about vaguely, is with Carl Lentz, who was a pastor of the first plant in America.
Right.
And now there's another story coming out of another allegation. And what happened with him and his family, they were pretty much put like, you were working for us, now you're not, take a break and breathe. I don't think they meant don't come back to Hillsong.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like not persuaded. It was
encouraged.
A good idea. Thank you. It was encouraged to. When we mean take time away, just take time. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Brian Houston, because wherever he goes, people know he is.
Yeah.
So does that mean that he doesn't? Because going back to church as not the pastor, that's difficult. That's huge.
Yeah.
But then do you just then people are knowing about you, and maybe he's just gonna. I don't know. It's questions. I don't have answers for.
Do you take an aisle seat? Do you sit at the back?
Yeah. Do you look? I don't know.
Do you start ushering? No.
It's true, exactly. I don't know. Many questions from this that I do not know, but I'm sure that'll be coming out over the next few weeks. Yeah. Easily.
Anyway.
Good talk.
This has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast.
It has been, Bruce.
Interesting chat. So
yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Do all those funky
things.
stuff.
Yeah. And engage with us in the comments. Tell us what you think. And
we'll definitely catch you on the next one coming up, people.
Awesome.
All right, Taz.
Cheers, guys.
Goodbye. Bye.